Yachts for Sale YouTube channel opening a window to the world of yacht brokerage, and today looking at two very beautiful and very popular yachts. Ferretti Group's Custom Line Navetta 38 and Benetti's 37 metre Motopanfilo. Full disclosure, I did used to be the sales manager at Ferretti Custom Line in the early 2000s, and even back then Benetti were considered our fiercest competitor. Every year we were trying out new models, new innovations to try to improve and produce better yachts than they did. The Custom Line Navetta has always been one of my favourite models, and a couple of months ago when they launched the new Navetta 38 for the first time, I was really keen to see how it compared with Benetti's amazing 37 metre Motopanfilo. Now, I produced a video about the Motopanfilo on behalf of Benetti about 3 years ago, so let's take a look at how the two compare. And starting with the Navetta and the Motopanfilo's vital statistics. The Navetta 38 is in fact 38.76 metres long, so that's 127 feet and 2 inches. She has a beam of exactly 8 metres and a draft of 2.27 metres. Size-wise, this is a little bigger than the Motopanfilo, which is 36.9 metres long, so that is 121 feet and 1 inch. She has a beam of 7.8 metres and a draft of 1.96 metres. Interestingly, although the Navetta is longer and wider than the Motopanfilo, the gross tonnage, which is an expression of the interior volume, is very similar. 299 for the Navetta and 297 for the Motopanfilo. We'll get into the sizes of her tanks in a moment, since this does affect the performance of the yacht. But first, let's take a look at the layouts. At a glance, the layouts may appear to be very similar, but there are some significant differences. We'll start from the lower deck at the transom, where you'll see that a tender can drive longitudinally straight into a housing of the Navetta. I couldn't find the details on this, but I'm going to make an educated guess that this will be a 5 metre tender. And in fact it is a 5 metre tender that fits transversely into the Motopanfilo, which also has space for a personal watercraft of up to 3.3 metres in length. There will be a side opening shell door for launch and retrieval of these. What do these different approaches to tender storage mean? Well, the Motopanfilo has this fantastic beach club that's partially inside the transom and partially outside when the transom door is open. The Navetta, on the other hand, takes a very different approach, with the entire beach area being outside the yacht. Interestingly, they say that this is 70 square metres in size, so that's 753 square feet. It's an impressive solution. Moving forward, we have the engine room. The Navetta has two MAN engines producing 1,400 horsepower each, and the Motopanfilo has exactly the same engines, with an option to have more powerful 1,650 HP units. Again, we'll get to the performance figures later, but before we move on, I do want to point out that the engine room of the Navetta does look a little bigger to me due to the positioning of the tender and the outside beach area. The guest stateroom arrangement on both yachts are very similar, with 4 cabins and 4 ensuite bathrooms. Both shipyards say that the yacht is built for 10 guests in 5 cabins. A quick note on that point though, if you do want to have more guests on board your yacht, you should ask the shipyard if they can fit Pullman bunks. Those are the bunks that fold down from the bulkheads. In the same way, if you don't like the arrangement of having all double beds and you want some twins, you should talk to the shipyard about that. They will usually accommodate your request. Now we get to the crew quarters, and there are some significant differences here. The Navetta has 3 crew cabins, each one with its own head, pushed as far forward as they can. This has created space further aft for a crew mess and also a crew galley. By positioning the guest bathrooms forward, they've added a sound barrier between crew and guest. The benefits of that work both ways, of course. The Motopanfilo, on the other hand, has the crew cabins a little further aft, which I suspect gives them slightly more sleeping area, and it looks like a bigger crew mess to me as well, but they don't have a dedicated galley as such. I'm curious to know which crew layout you prefer. Do leave your comments below. Onto the main deck layout, and I really don't have too much to say about this. The layout is very traditional indeed, with an aft deck seating area, salon, inside dining, butler's pantry and galley to port, main deck dayhead and owner's stateroom forward. Worth noting that the Navetta layout shows a personal watercraft storage under the foredeck, and also the aft deck on the Navetta does look slightly larger. I may be wrong, but this does probably account for the very small difference in gross tonnage of the yachts, since exterior deck space is not included in the tonnage calculation. On the upper deck too, it may just be my impression, but the aft deck does look slightly larger on the Navetta. It is of course a slightly longer yacht, so that would make sense. Both yachts have nicely proportioned sky lounges, both have dayheads, captain's cabins, bridges of course, but look at the bow. The Navetta has a large and lovely sunbathing area, and the Motopanfilo is shown with a sunbathing area and a hot tub. A word of warning here: if you are in the market for a Motopanfilo, don't take it for granted that the hot tub is included in the price. Sometimes it can be an optional extra, so you should ask your broker to find that out for you. In the same way, don't take it for granted that Custom Line can't provide a hot tub on the foredeck. If that's something that's important to you, once again inquire through your broker. The Navetta does show a hot tub on their Sundeck layouts though, and they're clearly very proud of this Sundeck, with all of the press articles referring to it as being 15 meters long, so that's just over 50 feet, and 70 square meters, so 753 square feet. And if that sounds familiar to you, it's because it's exactly the same square footage as that beach area of the transom, which kind of gives a better perspective of the sizes. The Motopanfilo shows a slightly simpler layout, but what it does have is this extra deck on top of the hardtop, kind of a crow's nest slash private sunbathing area that will appeal to some people. Where performance is concerned, here are the figures as supplied by the builders themselves. The Navetta has a top speed of 15 knots, a cruising speed of 12 knots, and an economic cruise speed of 10 knots. Benetti, on the other hand, state that the top speed of the Motopanfilo is 16 knots with a smaller engine package and 18 knots with the bigger engines. They don't refer to any particular cruise speed in the documentation that I've seen. Both shipyards give their range estimation at 10 knots, and here there is a considerable difference. The range of the Navetta at 10 knots is 2,800 nautical miles, and the range of the Motopanfilo at 10 knots is 3,800 nautical miles. Now the difference may be partially due to the slightly narrower beam of the Benetti, and certainly the bigger fuel tanks will play a big part in it. The Navetta has a fuel capacity of 32,500 litres, and the Benetti has a capacity of 35,000. But still, it surprises me that the variation in range is so great, and if I were representing a buyer who was deciding between these two yachts, I would want to look into that a little deeper to get a better understanding before making a decision. So, two yachts of similar sizes from two very great builders indeed, both with 5 cabins, both with very similar layouts, both with space for a similar sized tender and a personal watercraft, but also with many significant differences. Which one would you choose? Do let me know in the comments below. On another topic, I'm happy to tell you that we will be bringing you many more videos of yachts going forward. You may be aware that up until now I've been filming on behalf of Northrop & Johnson, which is owned by a huge company called Marine Max. Now Marine Max also own Fraser Yachts, and so they asked my team and I to also get involved with the Fraser Yachts filming on this YouTube channel. So that will practically double the amounts of videos that we can produce, and in fact we've pretty much doubled the size of our team too. What does it mean for this channel? Well, I'll still be doing walkthrough videos of the yachts, but at the same time we'll need to do even more videos where we interview brokers and we use the broker interview to do the walkthrough of the yacht. I'm really flattered by the amount of comments on the channel saying, why isn't David doing the walkthrough? We prefer it when David does the walkthrough. That's tremendously flattering, and I thank you if you've written that kind of comments. But with the amount of videos that we need to produce, it's just impossible for me to fly over everywhere and do every single walkthrough. And even if I tried to do it, I don't think I'd really do justice to the yachts themselves. So we will be presenting more videos. I will still be doing walkthroughs, but sadly I can't present personally every single yacht. I have restructured the team as well. To be frank with you, one of the reasons that I haven't been able to do as many walkthrough videos as I would like to have done is because the organizational pressure was overwhelming me. The logistics of travel, accounting, and all of the kind of organization that comes with working with a big corporation. So what I've done is we're hiring a manager who will be starting very soon. He'll take all of that workload off of me, I hope. Yarik will be responsible for all of the team of editors that we have. Slava will be responsible for all of the cameramen, and we're increasing the amount of cameramen and the amount of editors, doing our best to keep the quality control very high as well, again so that you can enjoy more experiences of being on board yachts and learning all about them. And we have just finished our biggest yacht video ever. A total of 8 videographers, including myself, were present on the 77-meter yacht Malia for 4 days to film what will be an epic charter video for that particular yacht. Now, at the time of recording this video, I don't know what the publishing date will be. I think there's still another couple of weeks of editing to be done on it. But get over to the Yachts for Charter channel, subscribe, because that is a video you won't want to miss. We're very proud of what we've done, and I'm looking forward to showing it to you. We've also already filmed our first Fraser yacht, which was the Fedship Go. That was a wonderful video that I did together with one of the Fraser brokers called David Laurent. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to put a link to that video at the end of this video so that you can watch it all the way through. Now, if you already subscribed to my Inside Info newsletter, you already knew all about that, because the Inside Info newsletter is really a way for me to tell viewers of this channel what we're doing a little bit earlier than everybody else, to give inside information so that you're the first to know. I discuss the challenges that we face, the plans for the future, different projects that we've got on the go, and right now we have some epic projects which I'm really looking forward to getting involved with. So there's a link in the description below to where you can subscribe to that newsletter. Please do that, and I'm hoping to bring you many more vlogs very soon. And that's it. That wasn't so bad, was it?
Was it a bad approach?
Or was it about 20 minutes, 25 minutes because of all the mistakes?